y'all! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Evelyn and this is Here There Be Magic, where we talk about the magic of all things storytelling. And today we're sitting down to talk about my most anticipated contemporary and historical releases for the second half of 2022. I can't believe that this is the last of my 2022 anticipated releases videos. Every year I release 2 in January, 2 in July. Last week we talked about my most anticipated sci-fi and fantasy releases, so if you want to learn more about those, make sure to go check that one out. And if you want to make sure you don't miss anything that released in the first half of the year, I will link the ones from January somewhere here as well. But before we jump into things, I do want to give an honorable mention shout out to what would probably have been my most anticipated book on this list if I didn't already have an arc of it. That is, of course, Never Ever Getting Back Together by Sophie Gonzales. This book follows main character Maia, whose cheating ex-boyfriend just sort of skyrocketed into international fame after his sister married a prince, and he's now been cast as the lead on a dating show where he redates all of his exes to try to find the one that got away. Maia agrees to participate and ends up having to spend a bunch of time with the girl that he cheated on her with, who she should hate, but doesn't. So huge shout out to Wednesday Books for sending me this e-arc. I nearly died when I opened the email. I love Sophie Gonzales so much. She's an auto-read author for me, and I think this is going to be the 4th book of hers that I've read as an arc now. I like that streak. Alright, let's go ahead and get things started with A Disaster in 3 Acts by Kelsey, Rodkey, which is set to release on July 5th from Harper Teen. Aspiring filmmaker Shane Sinclair needs to make the perfect documentary in order to get into the college program of her dreams. Unfortunately, her best shot at making the doc lies with Holden Michaels, her former best friend. The same ex-friend who refused to kiss her in a pre-adolescent game of Spin the Bottle, and who, in an unexpected twist, is now her best friend's ex. I am super excited about this one because if you didn't know, I did a 2-year digital video production program when I was in my junior and senior years of high school. And for a brief moment there, I really legitimately considered going to college for film and television production. So I think I'm gonna have a lot to relate to when it comes to this book. I never ended up sending a video portfolio to any college programs because I decided to go to Iowa and focus on writing, but I did compete in Business Professionals of America competitions for 2 years and placed 3rd at Nationals 2 years in a row. So I do understand like the pressures of filmmaking for an audience that's going to judge you and the weirdness that is working with other teenagers in a semi-professional film setting. And also I'm just like a huge sucker for Friends to Lovers. Next we have Bet on It by Jodie Slaughter, which is set to release on July 12th. Aja Owen met the man of her dreams while having a panic attack in the Piggly Wiggly. And then she met him again when her favorite bingo buddy introduced her to her semi-estranged grandson. Walker Abbott only dragged himself back to Greenbelt, South Carolina to be with his grandmother. As soon as Graham is healed, he is going straight back to his real life. Whatever this thing is between them cannot get out of hand. A hastily made bingo-based sex pact is supposed to keep things from escalating, but feelings. Every year, this list slowly becomes taken over by more and more adult romance. The thing is, because I'm so new to adult romance, I am more likely to just try stuff, and I have a harder time like articulating what it is that like draws me to certain books. I can tell you what intrigued me about this one though, the phrase bingo-based sex pact. I read that and went, I want to know what that means. Next we have You, Me, and Our Heartstrings by Melissa C., which is set to release on July 19th from Scholastic Press. Daisy is a fiercely independent disabled violinist who likes to take risks. Nella is a traditionalist cello prodigy from a long line of musicians. They're both planning on using the upcoming holiday concert to secure a Juilliard audition. When they're chosen to play a duet, they're afraid their differences may be irreconcilable. But, to their surprise, they complement each other perfectly. So much so that their performance goes viral. And while that might bring them closer to their musical dreams, the attention is awful for Noah's anxiety, and Daisy's disability is all people seem to see of her. I am a simple girl. So if the book's official description explicitly states that one of the characters has an anxiety disorder, I'm gonna pick it up. One of the things that's always been a huge trigger for my anxiety personally is auditioning for things, whether that be for like musicals or honor band tryouts or that sort of thing. It was especially bad for when I was playing the trumpet because whenever I get particularly anxious, my hands start to tremble, and that's not really conducive to playing the trumpet well. So that being said, I'm excited to be reading a story with a musician that has to deal with anxiety. Also, it's super exciting to see more explicit disability rep coming into YA this year alone. I've seen many more titles than I have in the past. So of course I'm super excited to hear Daisy's story as well. But when it hits home, it hits home. And I'm so excited that her story is going to hit home for other people the way that I am hoping Noah's will hit home for me. Next we have For Butter or Worse by Erin Rosa, which is set to release on July 26th from Harlequin. Chef Nina Lyon has been underestimated in the male-dominated culinary world for too long. Now that she's been cast as the co-host of The Next Cooking Champ, she'll finally have a chance to make a name for herself and inspire other young women. Unfortunately, her co-host, restaurateur Leo O'Donnell, gets under her skin in the worst way possible. Except he doesn't mean to, he just gets anxious when the cameras get rolling. But when he takes a joke a little too far, Nina quits on live TV. Then things really get complicated when the paparazzi catches them in a seemingly compromising situation, causing fans to go nuts over their secret romance. I have a deep-seated love for the Food Network, which means if your book in any way revolves reality TV cooking shows, I will be reading it. Thank you for your service. Also, fake dating. Next we have The Feeling of Falling in Love by Mason Deaver, which is set to release on August 2nd from Scholastic Press. Neil is supposed to spend his spring break at his brother's wedding with his childhood friend turned friend with benefits, Josh, as his date. Until Josh confesses his love for Neil, a sentiment Neil does not return. Since Josh is still attending the wedding, Neil really needs a new date, so he enlists his roommate, Wyatt, who kind of thinks he's being a jerk. But once they get to LA, Neil and Wyatt begin to understand each other and possibly fall. So, 3 things. 1, this cover, it got me. It got me. Even if the premise weren't interesting, I would still be tempted to read this book because that's an iconic cover. 2, Wyatt, the love interest in this book, is, I believe, non-binary, and I make it a point to try to read every book with non-binary rep that I can get my hands on because there are so few of them, and I want there to be more. And 3, love a good wedding. Love a good wedding in a book. And in real life. They're just such the perfect setting for, like, drama and also cynics starting to believe in the possibility of romance for the first time. Next we have In the Event of Love by Courtney Kaye, which is set to release on August 30th. When Morgan Ross's career as a world-class event planner begins to implode after a tabloid blow-up, she flees to the questionable safety of her hometown. Questionable because Fern Falls is filled with the memories of heartbreaks, like her doomed first kiss with former best friend turned crush Rachel Reed. Turns out, Rachel has been running her family's tree farm, struggling to keep corporate greed from destroying the town, and Morgan has the perfect plan to help. A spectacular fundraiser to give the farm its holiday happy ending. The kind she and Rachel will not be having because that would be unprofessional. So a trend that I've noticed in this list is sapphics reclaiming Hallmark tropes, and I love that for all of us. Also, In my multifaceted educational career, I am currently pursuing a certificate in event management, which means I spend a lot of time with aspiring event planners. I know a lot about that industry, and I'm very excited to read about an event planner MC. Next we have Self-Made Boys by McLemore, which is set to release on September 6th from Fuel and Friends. Nicolas Carvalho wasn't drawn to the glitz and glamour of New York City. The 17-year-old trans boy is determined to establish himself as a young professional, securing both his family's future and his own future as a man. Nick rents a small house in West Egg from his cousin, Daisy Fabreja, who he's surprised to learn is passing under the name Daisy Faye, living in the fashionable East Egg with her wealthy fiancé. Nick's mysterious new neighbor, Jay Gatsby, hosts extravagant parties in his castle-like mansion, and Nick soon learns Jay's secrets, that Jay is also transgender, and that the glamorous parties are all to attract the attention of a girl from his past, Daisy. As Nick attempts to reconnect his friend with his long-lost love, he finds himself getting pulled deeper and deeper into New York's decadence, and falling for Jay's ideal, if not misplaced, faith in the American dream. So this is the Great Gatsby remix we've all been waiting for. I remember when The Great Gatsby became public domain and everyone was super excited about all of the retellings and reimaginings that we were gonna get, and then the first one that dropped was like the blandest, whitest take possible. I like to think that this book is going to be the antithesis of that. We've got trans Gatsby, we've got trans Latino Nick, we've got Latina lesbian Daisy trying to pass as a straight white woman. It's gonna be so great! I am very much not a Great Gatsby fan, but if there is anyone who's going to get me to root for these characters that I otherwise actively dislike, is gonna be McLemore. Next up we have The 99 Boyfriends of Micah Summers by Adam Sass, which is set to release on September 20th from Viking Books for Young Readers. Micah is the Prince of Chicago, the rich, dreamy, charming son of a local celebrity sports radio host. He's got everything going for him, but he's too nervous to actually ask boys out. So he's also the prince of imaginary meet-cutes. He actually draws each of these crushes and then posts about their imaginary dates on his hugely popular Instagram account. He's up to 99 boyfriends, with fans eagerly anticipating Boy 100. Micah is too, although for a different reason. He's determined that Boy 100 will be the one that he sweeps off his feet. He finds the perfect Boy 100 on the train, wearing a vegan leather jacket and carrying an armload of library books. But before Micah can make his move, the guy rushes off, leaving his pumpkin embroidered jacket behind. Micah and his friends begin to track him down Cinderella style, using clues from the jacket, but the real perfect fit might be closer than he thinks. If you know me, you know I love my fairy tale, so of course I am so here for a modern day gay Cinderella style hunt for true love. I also love stories that aren't afraid of incorporating social media into the lives of their teenage characters, so Micah's Instagram account with his 99 fake boyfriends is something that I fear I will become obsessed with. Next we have Season of Love by Helena Greer, which is set to release on October 11th from Forever. And I absolutely cannot think of a way to come up with a shorter and sweeter version of the description, so here we go, I'm just going to read this verbatim. When Miriam Bloom unexpectedly inherits part of her eccentric aunt's Christmas tree farm, she has to team up with the hot butch farm manager to save the farm from developers and face the past she's been running from for a decade, a queer Jewish take on classic Hallmark tropes. So of course this falls into the category of lesbians living out my Hallmark dreams so I can live vicariously through them as I read their stories. Next we have Built to Last by Erin Hahn, which is set to release on October 18th from St. Martin's Griffin. Shelby Springfield, former child star, has tried to sand away her troubled past the way she does for the antique she finishes. But it's hard to forget a widely documented breakdown and subsequent breakup with her former co-star Lyle Jessup, and even harder to forget her other co-star, Cameron Riggs. Cameron is the one that got away, and then got away again. Anytime Shelby has called Cameron, he's come running, but he always runs off again. But sparks begin to fly between them again when Lyle coaches them back into the spotlight with a home renovation show. I'm super excited for this one because I love Erin Hahn's young adult novels, and if it weren't for other YA adult crossover authors, I probably wouldn't have gotten into adult romance at all, so I have a soft spot for YA authors who make that leap. And because I love Erin and I've been following her on social media for a long time, I know that writing in the adult romance genre has been a real dream of hers for a really long time, so I'm just so happy that that's happening for her, and I can't wait to read it. Also, remember when I said I had an undying love for the Food Network? HGTV, also up there. Next we have Drizzle, Dreams, and Lovestruck Things by Maia Prasad, which is set to release on October 18th from Disney Hyperion. The Singh sisters grew up on dreamy Orcas Island, helping their father run the Songbird Inn. The Songbird has always been the perfect cozy home for them, but since it's just been named the most romantic inn in America, now it's the perfect place for them to fall in love. Neethi has her life planned out until an autumn storm brings a wayward tree and an intriguing construction worker crashing into her life. Avani has been channeling her grief for Pop, her father's late husband, into planning an elaborate winter ball in his memory. If she stops moving, she's afraid the grief will overwhelm her, but when a blizzard traps her in a barn with a boy she accidentally stood up, she'll be faced to confront everything she's been avoiding. Sarisha sees the world through the lids of her camera, but her shyness prevents her from stepping into frame, or talking to girls. But she'll need to find her words if she wants to woo the pretty actress who just came to the inn with her theater troupe. Rani is a hopeless romantic who's been nudging her sisters to open their hearts, and when summer brings not one but two suitors to town, she's convinced it's finally time for her to live out her wildest Bollywood dreams. If only she can figure out which boy she's meant to be with. If I understand this correctly, this book follows each of the four sisters through the 4 seasons through a series of interconnected tales, and if that doesn't sound like the coolest thing in the world to you, then you're wrong, because it is. Next we have How to Excavate a Heart by Jake Maia Arlow, which is set to release on November 1st from Harper Teen. Shani's winter break was supposed to be nothing but fish fossils, but it's hard to focus on your month-long paleoichthyology internship when you've just been unceremoniously dumped by your girlfriend, and then almost ran a girl over with your mom's Subaru. But when a dog-walking gig puts her back in the path of May, the girl she almost vehicular manslaughtered, she starts to forget the fish and the breakup. And their passing fling starts to feel a lot more serious after they get snowed in together. This is the 3rd of the Hallmark-esque sapphic books, and it's got a trope that I'm slowly getting more and more into, which is characters getting trapped together. I love a good, we're stuck together so we might as well overanalyze our feelings sort of moment. Also, paleoichthyology. 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 Such a good fucking word. Love it. Next we have Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. Ever since Astrid Parker broke things off with her fiancé a year ago, she's been focused on work. Too focused, some may say. When she's asked to be the designer for the renovation of Everwood Inn, which will be broadcast on the TV show Inside America, Astrid thinks it'll be the ultimate distraction and a chance to gain approval from her mother. She wasn't counting on Jordan Everwood, lead carpenter on the project, whose determination to preserve the history of her family's inn leads her to despise Astrid's modern design vision. The showrunners love the tension between them and ask them to turn it up for the cameras. But when their dislike for each other turns into something else, Astrid must decide if she's going to keep pursuing the life that's expected or go after the one she wants. This is a companion novel to Ashley Herring Blake's Delilah Green Doesn't Care, which I absolutely loved. I thought the estranged stepsisters relationship between Delilah and Astrid was almost as compelling as the romance in that story, and so I was so excited to learn that Astrid is going to be the main character in this book. Her fiancé was the actual worst, so I think she deserves a happy ending this time around. Also, I really did not notice the shockingly high prevalence of reality TV related books on this list. But, okay. Next we have To Get to the Other Side by Kelly Ohlert, which is set to release on December 6th from Alcove Press. Trixie has already been caught trying to smuggle pets into her pet-free apartment too many times, which is why her split-second decision to save a chicken struggling to cross a busy Chicago street means she's going to have to find a new home for her and her feathered friend. Bear didn't give his meddling sisters permission to rent out his spare room, but despite the fact that he likes his quiet life the way it is, when Trixie responds to their ad, he agrees to let her move in. They set some platonic ground rules, but apparently close proximity and co-parenting a chicken can lead to romance. Y'all. It's a romance novel, foundationally based upon the joke, why did the chicken cross the road? That is so brilliant and hilarious and adorable. I don't have anything else to say. I'm just in awe of Kelly Ohlert's mind. And last but certainly not least, we have A Million to One by Adiba Jaigirdar, which is set to release on December 13th from HarperCollins. A thief, an artist, an acrobat, and an actress team up for a heist on the luxurious RMS Titanic. Though they've united to steal the Rubaiyat, a jewel-encrusted book they each believe to be the ticket to solving their problems, their alliance is threatened by careless mistakes, old grudges, and new romance. But when tragedy strikes, their already slim odds of pulling off the heist are nothing compared to their odds of survival. I need y'all to be so proud of me, because there are 2 historical novels on this list, which I think finally fully justifies this video always being called contemporary and historical titles. I loved both of Adiba Jaigidar's previous books. Those 2 were very similar to each other. This one is not a complete departure, but a pretty strong departure from the precedent that they set. And I am so intrigued. I find the Titanic fascinating, and I really enjoy heists as a plot device, and I'm ready to be sad. I feel like this has they both die at the end vibes, not because of plot or premise in any way, just that sort of, I know that something bad is going to happen, but I'm actively gonna choose to read it anyway. And I will only have myself to blame for how sad I potentially get. But I'm ready for it. Bring it on. Alright, there you have it. Those are the contemporary and historical titles I am most anticipating in the second half of 2022. Remember to go check out last week's video if you want to know about sci-fi and fantasy titles. And stay tuned for the end of the year when I go back and see how well I did at actually reading my most anticipated books by clicking that subscribe button. Also, if you are as excited about any of these books as I am, please consider pre-ordering them. Pre-orders are so important for authors. They go toward first week sales, and they help make sure that the authors we love can continue writing stories that we love. I have put links to where you can purchase all of these books in the description of this video. If there are any pre-order campaigns, those are linked as well. And if for whatever reason you aren't comfortable pre-ordering right now, I encourage you to figure out how to submit a purchase request for your local library so that you can still get your hands on that book. You're still supporting the author and you're giving other people an opportunity to discover it as well. We love libraries here at Here There Be Magic. With that being said, my name is Evelyn. I make new videos every magical Monday, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.